Hi, this is Katrina Weaver with Primary Residential Mortgage, and you are watching another episode of Wine and Real Estate TV.
This episode of Wine and Real Estate TV is sponsored by my real estate team, the Morton Group, where our motto is you-centered real estate. Everything we do is focused on you. Learn more at our website, which is themortongroup.com. Hi, it's Chris Morton with another episode of Wine and Real Estate TV, here today with Katrina Weaver from Primary Residential Mortgage. Katrina, thank you so much for your time today.
My pleasure, Chris.
So today's episode is going to be mostly focused on buyers, although there is a little information for sellers involved here. And what we're talking about today is this thing called TRID. And TRID is a radical new, brand new, as of here, October of 2015, way that we have to go about getting you, the buyer, from I'm interested in buying a house to congratulations, here are the keys. And so Katrina, tell us, what is TRID? Where did it all come from? What is this all about?
So TRID is essentially, we're calling it the Know Before You Owe Mortgage Initiative.
Okay.
It's a lot friendlier than TRID.
TRID itself is not friendly at all, okay? Let's just be honest up front.
It's not.
Call your congressman, call your senator, tell them we need this thing repealed. That's how, anyway, go ahead.
So TRID essentially has two primary initiatives. It's really supposed to simplify and consolidate the disclosure process, and then it's also just causing some changes in the timing of activities that happen during the mortgage process.
Right.
So it's slowing things down a little bit.
A lot bit.
It is, you know, but the spirit of it is really to help the consumer in the long run, to be more informed, to have a better understanding of what they're getting into, a better understanding of what their choices are. The timing thing comes down to being able to meet some of these new disclosure timeline rules,
Right.
so that they can review things in time.
So the main, the biggest piece of the timing of this is after you've finally gotten final approval and everybody settled on everything and we're ready to close, we then have to wait 3 business days before anyone can do anything.
So that's one of the things. So it used to be that if you've purchased a home before, you know that there was probably a good chance that you didn't know what your numbers were going to be, your final numbers, until you got to the closing table a lot of times.
Or at least maybe that morning.
Maybe that morning. Sometimes it wasn't until you showed up to sign the paperwork, which made it very frustrating. It made it very stressful, and quite frankly, you know, it really wasn't in the best interest of anybody, especially the consumer. So now one of the provisions of TRID is that the customer has to actually have their final settlement statement. So it used to be called a HUD-1 settlement statement.
Right.
Now it's called a closing disclosure, or CD.
CD.
Yeah. So what TRID has done is they've combined some of the old documents. So we know about the good faith estimate and the initial truth in lending. Those have been combined now into what is called the loan estimate, or the LE.
Okay.
And
Acronyms.
And that is given to the customer 3 days after application. And at that point, they decide whether or not they want to move forward. And then once they communicate their intent to proceed, which is another part of this, that's when the loan processing actually begins.
Okay.
And then the settlement statement, it used to be that you got the settlement statement, or the HUD-1, and the final truth in lending. If you were lucky, a day or two before closing, sometimes the day of. Again, now that's mandated that the consumer has to have that at least 3 business days prior to.
And business days are the weekdays plus Saturday,
Correct.
Not including a holiday. So, for example, Veterans Day just happened. I had a closing that would have happened if this was prior to TRID. The closing, everyone was comfortable, ready to close Monday. Because of TRID, we had to wait Tuesday, not Wednesday because it's a holiday, and of course everyone knows you are incapable of reviewing any kind of documents on a holiday or a Sunday. Your brain just does not work. So says the federal government. Can you tell the sarcasm? So they were ready Monday to close, had to wait Tuesday, not Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, can't close Saturday, can't close Sunday, so it was a full week before we could actually close this transaction. So that was yesterday that we finally were able to close this thing. Beyond the fact of, unfortunately, the mortgage company had unforeseen circumstances because of TRID and new things going on. We ended up 6 weeks closing this thing versus the traditional what used to be 4 weeks. So
Wasn't with me.
it was not with Katrina. As you could tell, a little bit of anger in my voice about this. So I share all these for you. If you're the seller on this transaction, understand that we potentially could be delayed because of holidays or whatnot. We could be, what would normally have closed that Monday, we now are a full week late closing the thing. So you have to sort of be patient. It's not always the buyer that's causing it. Sometimes it's simply the calendar that's causing it.
Absolutely, yeah. And really the big thing is just preparation and communication
Right.
are absolutely paramount in this process. They always have been. They're even more important now.
Exactly. So I'm always a big proponent, and there's a good number of the top agents will always say, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, we need to sit down and talk to someone in the mortgage industry before we even start looking at homes. So there used to be the main reason to do that was because the market is so hot right now. If we wait to get approval, you could end up missing out on a property. Now there's two reasons. There's the missing out on a property reason, and now there's also the TRID reason. So can you give a little idea about what we need to do? I bring you someone who's ready to buy a house, they're eager to buy a house. Where would you recommend that someone goes from that point on?
Really at that point, I mean, it's very important. Pull the credit right up front. Even if you think you've got great credit, credit reports are not scientific documents.
Right.
They're full of errors that you would not expect or anticipate. So, really trying to engage your customer as early in the process as possible before you put them in the car. Have them speak to a professional mortgage lender. Have them pull their credit.
Okay.
Have them go ahead and start providing financials. Now,
Right.
they are not required to provide financials now. I think it's a great idea, though.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there are too many devils in the details.
Right,
is
right.
my big thing. So
Right.
it's really better, even with somebody that's bought a home before, they think they know exactly what they can do.
Things have changed even. If you had bought a home in September of 2015, now we're in November of 2015, it's a whole different animal.
It is.
If you were to buy another home 2 months later, it's radically changed.
And some of the things are better, and some of
Yeah.
the things have tightened up. But again, really, it's communication. So, once you've got a customer that has spoken with a lender, understands what they can do, understands their options, then you go out, you find that house. Once you're under contract, really the most important thing that you can do for your customer and for the lender as they're helping your customer is to make sure that the customer and the lender know what are the property taxes going to be. Homeowners' dues are a really big sticking point. So one of the things with this TRID thing is that, before, we put estimates together, they're estimates.
Right.
Things can change during the process.
Right.
And things will change during the process.
Of
I mean, this
course.
is just always, there'll be a process of discovery. But some of the things that are very important, homeowners association, knowing what those dues are up front, knowing if there's a capital contribution, that's something that even though the lender does not control it, we're responsible for disclosing it. And that's one of those things that if it does change,
Turmoil.
There can be turmoil. There
Right.
can be turmoil for sure. So just, preparation and communication are absolute keys in this. And just understand that, what used to be, a 30-day closing used to be something that was very easy and doable. You need to probably plan on at least another week or two.
I always say, if your plan is to buy a home January 1st, you probably need to be under contract November 15th. Give yourself 45 days, a little bit of cushion. You can always delay it and have the mortgage person and the attorney and everybody else twiddling their thumbs, waiting an extra week if we need to, versus very last second rush to get everything done.
It's definitely better to have some extra time built in because there are so many people involved in the process, and you can do everything right as an agent. Your customers can do everything right. The lender can do everything right. You can have a snow day throw things off.
Right.
You can have an appraiser that for some reason gets sick in the middle of the process, and instead of taking a week to get the appraisal back, it takes 3 weeks back.
Right.
There's so many different people involved in the process that you have to build some time in there for hiccups.
Agreed. The other piece of that I advise my buyers is look at it as the Titanic in the iceberg. If a mortgage person says, I need you to get me the XYZ form back, do it immediately. Don't wait even a day. It's sort of like if they had known a week in advance that they were going to hit the iceberg, they wouldn't have hit the iceberg. So TRID has caused the whole timeline to be just exponential. with the different departments that have to touch every single document, if you're delayed in getting them the XYZ form back, then that may push you back a week or two closing, and you may be homeless for a week or two, living on a friend's couch. No one wants that. So that would be my advice, is to definitely make an effort to make getting your mortgage completed your number one priority during that whole process.
Absolutely.
And of course, continue to not buy any cars, furniture, or take out any more loans.
Listen to your loan officer.
Yes,
They'll
listen to the
tell
loan
you what
officer.
to do and what to not do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there anything we've missed in this whole process that you want to share with the potential buyers out there?
So professionally, a lot of us are like, TRID, we're punching the air. This is causing delays. But again, really the spirit of the rule is one that is supposed to help the customer. And I think once we all get used to figuring out how to fill out the new forms, the delivery process, some of those little things, and there are some best practices, but it's really, at the end of the day, it's going to be a good thing for the customer. It's
well, I think if they understand that buyers do have the ability to read a document on a Sunday and a holiday, that would make things a lot easier.
There are some things that for sure could be tweaked.
Yes.
Write your senator, talk to your senator.
Clearly, people who wrote this bill have never bought a house before.
Yeah, there are some oddities to it, but really at the end of the day, I think the customer having the ability to review those final numbers in a peaceful situation 3 days before closing versus on the way to the bank to pick up their check, not knowing it will really it'll become the new norm.
Sure.
And hopefully they'll tweak some of the things, but
Hopefully
I think at
so.
the end of the day, for the customer, it'll be a much more pleasant experience. And again, it's really the know before you owe part will be fulfilled because they'll know what they're getting into.
Understood. Well, tell everyone how they can get in touch with you. You do a phenomenal job at getting people a mortgage. How would they get in touch with you?
Thank you. I've been in the business for 17 years, and I love what I do.
So you started when you were 12?
I started when I was 12.
Congratulations. Wow.
Oh, yeah. So the best way to reach me, you can call me in my office, which is 919-256-3127. My cell phone, I've always got it with me. I work the hours that my realtors and my customers.
24/7.
24/7. My cell phone number is 919-724-1164. You can always email me at kweaver@primeres.com.
Okay, and we'll put that at the bottom as well.
Awesome.
So you sleep between 13th o'clock and 14th o'clock, like I do, huh?
Absolutely.
Understood, understood. Well, where are we? We're not in your office. We're not in my office. Where are we today?
We're not. We're at my friend Steve Horowitz's restaurant, Margaux.
Great restaurant, North Raleigh, Creedmoor.
Been here for
Road.
23 years. Great people.
Crab cake appetizer is my favorite thing
So
they
good.
have here.
So good.
So we'll move on to now our wine portion of the episode. And we are actually trying, we've got in front of us, a glass of one of their
Donati.
wines by the glass, Donati.
Donati.
It's Monterey County, California. It's a blend. 80% Cab Sauvignon, 10% Cab Franc, and 10% Merlot, I believe.
I think that's
think
right.
that's what he said. $44 a bottle. Highly recommended. It's definitely something that you could just drink by itself. I think it would be good with just about anything. But anyway, what are your thoughts? I know you like this.
I have not tried it, but I'm about to.
I've been swilling it, so there
Cheers.
you go. So really, really good. A lot of fruit. Not going to knock you over the head with tannins.
Nice.
So highly recommended. Highly recommended. And we'll show some photos of Margaux and hopefully get to talk to them in a future episode like we did the Angus Barn.
Love it.
Which incidentally, many of you may recognize Katrina. She was the volunteer
Food server.
food server, very good, at the Angus Barn. So she's doing double duty. We finally got her in to talk about what she's really, really good at, even though she didn't spill any food. So she did a great job with the food service.
Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you all, as always, for watching. We certainly do appreciate it. For further episodes of this, please go to our website, Wine and Real Estate TV. It's the URL is wineandre.com, spelled, as always, WINEANDRE.com. Thanks a lot. This has been Chris Morton, your host. Katrina, appreciate your time.
Cheers. Thank
Cheers.
you. Cheers.
Take care.